Good evening, everyone. We will officially call this workshop for the City of Manvel to order January 6, 2025 at 5 p.m. We have 6 of 7 members present for the workshop. We have one item on the workshop, and then council will use the rest of the time to discuss any topic on the agenda. So I'll introduce this item, and then we'll have Ms. Bria come forward. So we have a presentation and update on the services offered by Actions, Inc. of Brazoria County and opportunities for the city and Actions, Inc. to work together. So as Bria comes forward, Bria is the Executive Director for Actions, and I've had the privilege to serve on the Board of Actions for a few years now. And as a city government, we've been talking about services that we can provide to senior citizens, such as Councilman Bonner talking about a senior center. There's been talks about a busing program for senior citizens to help them out. And I wanted to have Bria come forward to share a little bit about what Actions does, the services that are currently available to the residents here in Manvel, and then we can have a discussion about ideas or opportunities to partner in the future, such as having a congregate center in a future building, and what you, Bria, see as being some of the needs for the senior citizens here in Manvel. And so, Bria, with that, we'll turn it over to you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Absolutely. Mayor, Council, thank you for having me tonight. I just kind of want to get, Dan and I, Mayor Davis and I were visiting, and he expressed that some of you were not very familiar with Actions, so I just kind of wanted to give you a little bit of history of our organization, and then we'll kind of jump in. Okay, how do I advance? Oh, there it goes. Okay, so this is our mission statement. Actions, Inc. of Brazoria County serves the need and enriches the lives of senior citizens in Brazoria County. Action services and programs enable our seniors to purpose for life. That is why we exist. So our organization was started in 1974 in response to the Older Americans Act. If you're familiar with that, that was a program that was implemented to make it more easily accessible for people to age in their own homes, because on all accounts, it is less taxing on the medical system for people to age in their own home, but people just age better in their own space versus in an institution. We were started as a group of volunteers that were county employees to meet that need, and very quickly evolved into a 501c3. In 1978, we filed our incorporation. So we are an organization that provides nutrition and transportation. That's kind of evolved. Actions was actually an acronym when they started. I've always thought it, some of you may have seen the logos in the past with the capital A and the capital S, and it never really made any sense to me. But it is an acronym. Active citizens taking an interest in our needy seniors. It's not quite as PC as it was in the 70s, so things have transitioned a little bit, but it's still at the core of who we are. We want to make sure that we're taking care of the seniors who built the communities that we're living in today. Seniors in Brazoria County often struggle with isolation, loneliness, and financial hardships. You would be amazed the number of seniors that we serve, and even in your community, that genuinely do not have anyone but us. The telephone reinsurance phone calls that they get from us, that knock on the door with the Homebound Meals program, we are genuinely the only support system that they have where they live. Some of them may have a support system that's moved off, but as far as day-to-day, just knowing that someone is there, for many of the seniors that we serve, we are the only assistance that they have. Today, we actually found one of our homebound seniors had passed away toward the end of last week, unfortunately, and we found him this morning. So again, he just literally had no one but us. So many seniors are unable to leave their homes due to physical limitations and lack of transportation. As I stated, we also provide a transportation program, and I think that you're going to see that that's something that I think is going to be very, very beneficial to your community. We're promoting it, but on a very small scale. I think that that's one of the biggest needs that we're going to see in your community in the next few years as people are aging and your city grows. Just that need to get to Pearland for an appointment, to get into Alvin for something that may not be readily available here in Manvel while you're still growing. Access to these services. Without access to these services, seniors are forced into facilities, and like we talked about, people just age better, and the medical system itself thrives better if people are aging in their own homes versus being put into an institution. These are some numbers from our last fiscal year. Our fiscal year runs with the state fiscal year. Our nutrition program, we served over 125,000 meals between our home-delivered meals and our congregate centers countywide last year. Transportation, we provided a little over 21,000. And that telephone reassurance that I was telling you about, because we only see our seniors once a week, we make 2 telephone reassurance calls every week to that person also. So we're making a little over 40,000 telephone reassurance calls each week. A really neat side note to that program, we do that through seniors who are trying to get back into the workforce. So if you have any seniors in your community that aren't quite ready to retire, but maybe they've been out of the workforce for a little bit, caring for a family member or something, we can get them in this program. It's minimum wage, but it gives them a chance to get back into the workforce, teach them some skills for the job site. And we've had several of our seniors, when they termed out of that program, go back into the workforce full time. So it's a very successful program for us. Basically, it's just, we're more than a meal. You know, it's so much more than knocking on the door and giving someone a homebound meal. I know that you've been visiting with constituents. They're just looking for a place to congregate when you don't have to get up and go to work anymore. You don't have family nearby, just a place to socialize. If we learn nothing in COVID, we learn that loneliness will literally kill a person. And so that is a big part of what we're trying to combat, not just that food insecurity, but the social isolation. It's a big issue for seniors in our county. Some of the smaller programs that we provide, we pass out heaters in the winter, ACs, fans in the summer. Hot air blowing through a box fan is still really hot air where we live, but it's better than no air moving at all when you just cannot afford to run that air conditioner. We do keep pull-ups in a storage building year-round. If you are not aware, Medicare has deemed pull-ups a luxury. So if you have a medical issue, if you have incontinence problems and you need pull-ups, Medicare says you get tabby diapers like an infant, and that's what we're going to give you. So if you remember, our mission statement says we want people to age with dignity and confidence in their own homes. And so that is a 100% community-funded program, but it is one of our biggest programs. We hand out probably 10 to 20 packages of pull-ups a week. We do have medical equipment available. Walkers, wheelchairs, shower chairs, potty chairs. We get hospital beds. So both sides of that. If you know somebody in the community who has medical equipment they're wanting to pass along, we would be happy to take it off of their hands, fix it up, clean it up, and make it reusable for anybody who may need it. But you know, you come out of a rehab facility, you have a medical crisis, you have medical equipment that breaks. Again, those Medicare rules, if you get a wheelchair and they tell you it should last you 5 years and you break it in 3, guess what? You've got 2 years to figure out how you're going to have any type of mobility before they'll buy you a new wheelchair. And so we accept those donations, but we also hand that equipment out to people as needed at no cost to the senior. Let me add that in. We do have a pet food program for dogs and cats. That's not a huge program for us, but we do have, I think, about 37 seniors right now on our Homebound Meals program. Another thing we figured out in COVID very quickly is that our seniors were feeding their pets their meals. And so to combat that, we started a small pet food program. I feel like that's going to continue to grow as well, but we do have that program available if you need that as well. And then one of my favorites, our Christmas Angel Tree Project, is very similar to the Salvation Army Christmas tree that you're familiar with in Walmart for kids. This year we provided gifts to 376 seniors that are homebound in Brazoria County. And I mean everything from bags of potato chips and house shoes to beds and TVs and power chairs. And it's unbelievable the things that come through there. I got a funny email from a lady this weekend saying that she was watching the cop stories on YouTube because she was bored for the first time this weekend, and she had a knock at the door. And in that state of mind, she snuck over to the door with mace in her pocket, trying to figure out who was knocking. She peeked the door open, and she said it was a cop, but she put her hands up. In her mind, she had done something wrong. So when they explained that they were there for Christmas gifts that had been purchased for her through our Christmas Angel Tree, she just started crying. She actually has 3 children and 9 grandchildren that she found out she wasn't going to be able to see this year for Christmas. And so that little package that came from someone in our community changed her entire Christmas season in a matter of moments. So it's much more than just a meal. These are numbers for Manvel. This past fiscal year, we served, you'll see, just over 2,200 home-delivered meals in your community. We provided 16 transportation trips. That number feels a little low to me, but that's what we had documented. So the main thing I want to point out to you, to Councilman Bonner's questions that he had about the Congregate Center, you'll see we have 21 Manvel residents who are traveling to Pearland to attend the NAP Center. And we have 5 seniors who travel to the Alvin Senior Center for congregate meals, activities, things of that nature. So currently, we're serving 69 unduplicated seniors. So in one of those 3 programs, we're serving 69 Manvel residents. Unfortunately, we have 11 on the waiting list for homebound meals right now. That is our biggest challenge as an organization. The price of food and fuel are 2 of the biggest things that have taken a hit during inflation. Those are our 2 biggest expenses. And so our waiting list continues to grow, unfortunately, but we are chipping away at it as quickly as we can. These are just some of the numbers to kind of back up what I was saying about people aging in their own homes better, less taxing on the medical system, people on home-delivered meals programs. 79% of people on home-delivered meals programs eat healthier because they're involved in a program like ours. And not just the home-delivered meals program. Those people who are going to the congregate centers and they're eating those same nutritionally balanced meals. Just because you know where your next meal is coming from, if it's ding-dongs and chocolate milk, that's not the same as a nutritionally balanced vegetables and proteins and things that our bodies need. So while the snacks, I mean, my grandma was the world's worst about eating Little Debbie's and drinking soda, but she wasn't getting the nutrition that she needed from that. And so the nutrition is just as important to us as making sure that we're putting food in their bellies.
Can I ask a quick, excuse me, can I ask
Absolutely.
quick questions? So on the 11 people that you said you had waiting,
Yes,
do you feel it's not the money that's the issue, it's the volunteers to take those meals to people, or?
For us, it's the money. Honestly, I think we could, because we have a volunteer that has been very loyal to your community. She's been serving Manvel only for about 4.5 years. We could definitely add more to her route. It's the funding to cover the meals for us.
And what do you think the cost is per week to fund one person?
Per week, well, it's about $100 will feed a senior for a month.
For a month?
Yes, sir.
So those 11, you're looking for $1,100 to cover those 11?
Yes, sir, a month.
For one
Yes,
month.
sir. And, we kind of have a unique program, right? Because in most nonprofits, a success story is I serve you 1 month, maybe hold your hand a second month, lift you up, encourage you, give you the tools that you need to go on, and then we don't see you again. It's opposite for us. The longer someone is on our meals and we know that their nutritional needs are being met, we know that their food insecurities are being addressed, their social isolation is being addressed, that's success for us. So if a person stays on our meals for 10 years, that's 10 years that we know that person aged in place and their basic needs were met. It's just the entire structure of what we do is a little bit different, so.
So on the funding, do you think you're gaining this much need every year that's causing the lack of having enough funds, or is it the funding has gone down?
Our funding has not gone down. We are hustling every day trying to increase our funding. We've added an additional fundraiser. Our Older Americans Act funding has increased. We are fighting like crazy to increase the Texas Department of Agriculture funding this
So
year.
it's just the need that's increasing
The
every year?
need is unbelievable.
Okay, thank you.
Every day we get a phone call and add someone to a waiting list. It's not just every once in a while, it's literally every day. Now, we'll tell you that anyone 90 or older or anyone who is a veteran supersedes that waiting list. Or any critical, if it's a critical situation, someone's leaving rehab, they're not going to have a meal if we don't jump in. there are parameters in place through the state where we can jump ahead in that waiting list too, but. Kind of lost my train of thought, sorry. No, it's okay. So I kind of just covered all of these things in answering your question, so I'll just skip over that slide. These are just a few testimonials. If you want to take a second and look at those, you should also have this slide deck available to you. If not, I can send it again. This isn't just a meal to these people. I hate that I always reference COVID, but it was such an impactful event for senior citizens. The seniors in our congregate centers, you didn't realize how dependent on these activities they were until COVID. So in an instant, overnight, we switched all of our congregate clients to homebound clients, and we started delivering meals. In the first week, everybody was laughing and dancing and singing, and we're going to get to see how this works for the next 2 weeks. And then those 2 weeks went by, and it went a little bit longer, right? And then it got extended again. Just people's entire personalities, their demeanor, the color of their skin, everything changed because they were just getting more and more depressed because they had lost this ability to interact with their peers on a daily basis that they were used to. So this is just a testimonial. We have Community Champions Week in March. If y'all ever want to deliver meals in your community, we would love to get you involved. It is one of my favorite parts of what we do is delivering those meals. We're there within about a 30-minute window every week, and every week the seniors that we serve are standing at the door waiting. They are looking forward to that interaction in those meals. This is Mr. Jerry. He participated actually in that program, making telephone calls with us for a couple years. He's kind of a full circle story for us, and so I always put him at the end of my presentations. He was a firefighter. He was a safety guard for a crossing guard at the school. He got a blood clot, lost his leg. The hospital sent him to us. We got him put on homebound meals, and in visiting with the driver, he explained that he was about $50, $75 short a month of being able to buy his medication because he needed to keep his lights on. And so we got him enrolled in the program. He started making telephone calls for us. Little did I know, he came to me probably about 6 or 8 months after we got him in that program, and he said, "You need to know that I was ready to just be done. I have never been so suicidal in my life. I was ready to give up. But you brought me here. You gave me a chance. You gave me a purpose again. You made sure my needs were met." He actually started going to a congregate center and engaging with other people again while he was still participating in that program with us. He got sick again and started using our transportation program. So he just kind of went through the whole circle. I love his story so much. Unfortunately, we did lose him. I buried him by myself, me and the grave digger, in a box of ashes because he literally had no one else in the world. I took on the responsibility of making sure, that his remains were taken care of because actions was all he had. And we're continuing to see that more and more and more across our county. And so if there's anything that we can do, I do want to answer any questions you may have, any feedback that you're getting from your constituents, needs that you see right now. I did give you a couple newsletters. These are from the summer, but they're full of a little more information than some of our more recent newsletters. Just kind of gives you an idea of what we're doing in the community, what we're providing for the seniors. The mayor and I have talked about a couple of locations that we could potentially put a center here in Manvel. I would love to have a volunteer so that we could keep the cost down because we didn't budget for a new center this year, but the need over here is growing very quickly. We get more and more phone calls, and so whatever we can do to help you meet the needs of the seniors in your community, we definitely want to do that.
Well, Bria, thank you so much for being here tonight, and thank you for everything that you do as the executive director, but all of the Actions Inc. organization. The impact is tangible and it's real, and you guys have changed lives. So thank you for that.
Very much.
Council, any comments or questions? We'll go with Councilman Lands first.
Well, I definitely appreciate you coming and sharing with us. Indeed, I have a soft spot for the elderly. A few years ago, I had rental property and had several elderly people, in my rental homes, and I would take care of them the best I could. So, what I hear, your call to actions, what I hear is I hear a call to action, is what I hear. And I look forward to discussing this more with you. Now, the newsletter, how do I get on, do I have ability to have these emailed?
Yes, sir. You can go to our website, actionsinc.org, and you can sign up for our newsletter, but I can also just add the city so that they can distribute it out to you if that's easier.
Okay,
But you can absolutely sign up on our website.
okay. And you don't have any interaction or working with the existing nursing homes in Brazoria County? This is all standalone, separate from nursing homes?
Separate from nursing homes. Now, some of the assisted livings, we do pick some of those residents up because those are structured more as an apartment-type living, even though they're getting a little bit of help with medication and stuff. They're still considered to be living on their own. The state won't allow us to serve nursing home residents because they're already more than likely utilizing some type of state benefits. And Health and Human, we get, our Older Americans Act money comes through Health and Human Services, so. I will tell you that we do provide transportation, like to food banks, and if somebody needed a ride to Masters for the food pantry day. Some people see that as double dipping. I wouldn't want my parents sustaining themselves on 5 to 7 meals a week, so that's, to me, that's not. If you need fresh produce for 5 or 6 meals a week, and you need our meals that you can just pop in the oven for 5 or 6 meals a week, I just want to know that your belly is full and that your needs are being met.
You know, one nice thing or neat thing to me about the elderly is every one of them has a story,
Absolutely.
you know. And I like to hear those stories.
I agree.
Thank you so much.
And they built to the communities that we're living in.
Yes.
We wouldn't be standing here today if they hadn't been here before us.
Absolutely.
We owe them. This is not a handout. We owe this to them.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Bonner?
Of the 11 people you said are on the waiting list,
Yes,
how
sir.
many of those are in Manvel?
That's all Manvel. We have
All Manvel is
350
11.
people on our whole waiting list. That's just Manvel. Now, that may be Manvel ETJ.
That's what
I
I'm
did
talking
not look into that, but they are all a Manvel address.
Okay. And y'all are serving all of Brazoria County?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that's another thing on the transportation, I'm not sure I really emphasize that. We do not leave Brazoria County for transportation except for, we do have a partnership with the Veteran Service Office. So if someone needs transportation to DeBakey, we will get them there and home for free. They can only go on Tuesdays and Thursdays just because of logistics. But if you have veterans who are having trouble getting to the medical center, that is a service that we provide for free on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But if they need to go to Pearland or Alvin or Angleton, you know, anywhere they need to go within Brazoria County, we will take them. It is not a taxi service, though. They do have to schedule ahead of time. We do our best to squeeze people in if we can, but we do need it booked in advance because we have four vans that are running full-time every day. Yes, sir.
Bria, I know that you have partnered with cities in the past, and you currently do today for congregate centers, senior center with the Alvin, City of Alvin, you do that. Have you ever seen a city partner with you guys to provide a grant to help cover the waiting list for senior citizens that might be there? Or what are some, you know, as Councilman Lanz was speaking to, what are, you know, some of the calls to action that we as a city government can take into consideration and strategize around?
About 6 years ago, prior to COVID, let me say that, we did have a community make just a one-time monetary donation to try to chip away at that. It helped in the immediate. It didn't help long-term. And then we have partnered with another municipality for transportation needs, but we have not partnered with anybody as far as sustainability and alleviating that waiting list in their community. I'm happy to show you numbers, and if you have any questions, dig into that a little bit deeper, but it's just not something that we have done in the past. So I don't really have a precedent set for that.
Okay, thank you. Council, comments, questions? We'll go Councilman Bonner and then Councilman Oaklager.
Just one quick thing. You mentioned provide numbers. Is there a way that you can track just the cost for our area to know what that cost is per year?
I can figure that for you before I leave, just on the numbers that are in the
Not
slide.
right away, but I mean, you're able to.
Oh, yes, sir.
Come up with
Absolutely.
a number of what it's costing you in Manvel.
Yes, sir.
Because number one, I can see that helping to know, further down the line, when and
Right.
if we can provide some type of center, what the cost might, be involved in.
Yes, sir. Our average cost for delivering a meal, turnkey, driver, gas, all of those things is between $9 and $11 a meal. Our state reimbursement right now is $6.46, and so we're fundraising the difference in that for every meal we serve.
And is there any ongoing talk with legislatures about,
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm sure there is, I just didn't know, is it doing any good?
Yes. So last legislative session, we were able to raise it from 531. I have all these numbers spinning in my brain, sorry. We were able to raise it from 531 to 646. We have already submitted an LAR again for this legislative session, and we are pushing to at least get to 7.
Okay.
But we are making sure that they understand that last legislative session, our real cost was between $8 and $9. Now, our real cost is between $9 and $11. Most of them are running between 10 and 11. For us, it's a little bit lower for some just because of location, right? It doesn't cost me as much to feed somebody in Angleton as it does in Pearland or Sweeney.
I was really just asking because we're fixing to be going to Brazoria County Days in Austin, and we'll have the opportunity to be in front of some
Yes,
of
sir.
these people, and maybe the greasy wheel squeaky one gets.
I have signed up for a meeting with Health and Human Services, so if you would like to join us, just let me know.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
my hope is to be in front of them and remind them that we're a pretty big county and we're begging for help for the seniors who live here. They deserve it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Opliger?
So like, you're not associated with Meals on Wheels, that's a separate?
That's a tricky question. So we are separate from the smaller Meals on Wheels organizations that are kind of sprinkled around the county, but we are a Meals on Wheels Texas and Meals on Wheels America member, which helps us with that legislative
Okay.
advocacy. We are able to apply for some grants through them. That's actually how we started our PET program during COVID, was we applied for a grant, a temporary grant through Meals on Wheels America, just to get it off the ground because we were so desperate for some help.
Right, okay, so very good. And then the volunteer opportunities?
Yes, sir.
You said just go to your website?
You can, yes, sir. Or you can call our office. The website is the easiest. If you use social media, our Facebook, but a phone call, we just love volunteers. So volunteer opportunities. If we get a center here, we always need volunteers in the centers, but immediate needs right now would be helping deliver meals if we were able to cover some more of those people.
Yeah. And so, no other groups in Manvel, like the Lions Club or anybody, has not helped you? Has that ever been discussed? Of
No,
big
sir.
fundraiser type thing through that type avenue?
No, sir, not yet.
Okay.
We just have a couple individuals right now who are volunteering here, but I am happy to speak anywhere that someone will listen. So I believe in our mission in my soul. I mean, I live and breathe what we do every day. And so any opportunity that you're aware of, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to speak to any group and
Okay.
tell them what we're doing and, not just, hey, can you help us, but what can we do to help you? We have to work together. We can do so much more together than we can individually. And so we've just got to figure out what the direct needs are and what we can do collaboratively to meet them as most efficiently as possible, because we're all pinching pennies, but still trying to take care of people.
Sure, yeah, my father just passed away.
Sorry.
5 years as a caregiver, right, full blown. I know, so trying to get him to eat was a challenge, right? Because you talk about it, it sent me back of trying to get him to eat the right food,
Right.
right, is a challenge sometimes for senior folks. So.
Christmas tree cakes and Cokes don't cut it, but
Yeah.
I understand.
I couldn't stand to watch it. It was toast and he don't get in coffee. Oh.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, thank you very much.
And so on our angel tree, I kind of struggle with that too, because the people who ask for the snacks and the sodas, I'm like, oh, but you know what? I have decided that when you reach a certain age, you should be able to eat whatever you want. I'm just going to encourage you to add some good stuff to it too.
True. All right.
Thank you so much for the presentation, and thank you for the wonderful work you're doing.
Thank you.
I just have a couple of questions, and trust me, coming from a very large family of long livers, my generation is now becoming the caregivers for those who are living into their 90s and the hundreds. And so I know that this is a crisis in general. Not really asking you to disclose any information that you can't publicly now, but any assistance that you get for any part of your group would allow for others to be helped. So I'm curious, the percentage of veterans, do you have data on the percentage of veterans that you're assisting?
We do have that. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I can get it for you.
Yeah, so I would like to get together with you. Now, are you eligible for applying for funds from the Texas Veterans Commission?
We are, and we missed the deadline for a technicality.
Okay.
We were working on it. We already have a Flux account for the Arts Commission, and we did not realize that you need a separate Flux account for TVC. And when we requested the passcode, or anyway, they didn't get back to us in time. But we are ready, and we're going to be applying for 2 different areas for this year.
Okay, good. I would love to talk with you
Yes, sir.
offline. And then also, even like other community organizations, nonprofits, so you can partner with them, even if, whether it's long-term or one-time donation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So
Absolutely.
I'll definitely speak.
Thank
to
you.
offline.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. So Councilman Perry is he works for the VA.
Oh,
So he's a
fantastic.
great resource to,
Yes.
to connect with. And Council, to let you know, Bria and I have spoken about the possibility of a congregate center here in Manvel. I've had a preliminary conversation with Pastor Stuart Martin about being able to utilize their facility in the future. So we'll see if there's an opportunity there as we head throughout 2025, and I'll make sure to keep Council updated on that. Councilman Hudson, you have any questions or comments, sir?
Yes. How much interaction or help did you get from the Rotary Club?
In Manvel?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't know y'all had a Rotary Club.
No, not in Manvel. But
Oh.
down here, Rotary Club of Angleton.
Oh, in Angleton. They gave us $2,500.
Okay. I mean, I've been a member of Rotary Club, but it's in Houston. And I just want to know that.
So just to plant a seed, we may be asking for a district grant soon. We are actually about to start a capital campaign for a walk-in freezer because it will save us about $30,000 a year on meals that we will be able to turn around and put back into meals for that waiting list, so.
Yeah, because I've been a member over 10, 15 years. And we spotlight different charities and everything.
Yes, sir.
And also, I've been affiliated with the Houston Food Bank. About 15 years, they give away food every
Yes, sir.
Saturday. And it's, I probably stick my fingers in a little of everything. It was very good of you to bring that forward. How long have you been this organization?
I have been the executive director for a little over 6 years. I actually got involved when I graduated from college in 2005. So I've been involved in this organization in some capacity for over half of my life.
That's great.
But I do, if you have the opportunity, want to visit with you offline too, because we're trying to get back into the senior grocery box distribution program. We were participants prior to COVID and we had to stop because we didn't have cold storage. And so we would love to be involved in that program again with the Houston Food Bank so that we can deliver that fresh produce to the seniors who need that in addition to their home-delivered meals instead of them having to make an appointment, to get in a van, to go to a food bank, to stand in line, to need another ride home. If we could just deliver those grocery boxes when we're delivering these frozen meals, that would take a little more burden off of them.
Yeah, like I said, I'm affiliated with the Houston Food Bank organization that they do it every Saturday.
Yes, sir.
And I go volunteer in there. And but I've been affiliated about 15 years, so I know how important it is to get fresh vegetables
Yes,
on
sir.
Saturday. I see a line of cars, and it starts at something like 11 o'clock, and you give it away till all the food is given away. So it's very important for fresh vegetables and everything.
I
But I'll get with you and
Sure.
see about my branch of the Rotary Club.
Okay.
where we can, because we give annual donations.
Thank you.
I know how important it is. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Does anybody from city staff have any questions for Bria while we have her here tonight?
One other thing I wanted to hit on quickly, I know we talked about providing transportation to and from council meetings if needed for seniors. That is something we would have to start on a volunteer basis. We are absolutely on board with kind of even piloting, that here in your community and seeing how it goes. We would just have to try to get a volunteer commitment because our staff is already super overworked and I wouldn't want to put that burden on them. But
Absolutely.
I think it's a great idea to make things more inviting and welcoming for the seniors to be involved, so.
Want to
Anything
speak to Councilman Bonner, you had talked about the need, and is it the cost, is it a lack of funding, or if the need's increasing? Mayor Martin can probably speak to this. The Well Food Pantry, just 4 years ago, they were serving on average every week about 300 to 350 vehicles. Every week now, in just a few years, they're serving 600-plus vehicles every single week. And these are people that have to qualify, and they have to go through a process. It's not just anybody can show up. So as our community grows, Iowa Colony, Alvin, everywhere around us, the need's going to continue to increase. And so, Bria, if there's specific things that we can do for actions, please let us know, and council and staff, if there's things that we can think of as a city that we can help and support, grant opportunities, volunteer opportunities, we'll put our heads together and see if there's something that we can do to partner with you guys.
One more thing I do want to add, there is no waiting list for congregate center meals. So if we can get something going here in your community, those people who are off the beaten path right now, so to speak, and not able to get those home delivered meals, if we have a center here and we have a van here, the transportation program can get them to the center to get a meal. So that takes them off of the homebound waiting list because now they've become a congregate participant. So that's always an alternative way to address that waiting list. So.
It's a good call out. And council, if you guys know of a good location while we're having preliminary conversations with Church of the Harvest, if that doesn't pan out, if you guys know of somebody that could say, yeah, we'll open up our facilities next week, then let's get them connected with Bria and start that conversation.
We need to find out what the needs are to be able to be a congregate center too.
I need a refrigerator, a sink, and a microwave, well, and a restroom. Very basic.
How much space would you say, square footage?
It really depends on how many participants we end up with. I mean, we started in an office, literally an extra office space in Angleton 6 years ago because we had lost the facility that we were at and the center had kind of dwindled down a little. We had lost people due to age and health issues. So we put them in an extra office in our building for temporary. It really just kind of depends on the number of people that end up wanting to participate. I think you're going to see a pretty big interest if we put this out to people. I think an office space probably will not work here, but we will never fill this. I don't think we will ever fill the space at the church that we were discussing. So.
And obviously, you probably need more than one, when you say refrigerator. One refrigerator is really not enough.
One is sufficient because we get our meals in the congregate centers, we get our hot meals every day. The refrigerator is just more like if there's leftover fruit or milk or, when the drinks come in, we'll put them in the
It's
refrigerator.
really just a receiving and
Yes, sir.
send out center.
Yes, sir. And then sometimes they bring snacks or have potluck or something. It gives them just a little bit of flexibility. Our meals are nutritious. They're not always, so sometimes they like to have potluck or things to add to it, if you will.
Bria, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you
Thank
being
you
here,
all.
here tonight, taking time out of your busy schedule, and we'll be in touch.
Okay. If y'all need email or anything, I'm happy to share that. The mayor has my contact information. I'm happy to answer any questions you think of later. Thank you again for having me, and I'm looking forward to working with y'all. Have a good
Thank you,
night.
Bria. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, council, we have a little bit of time here, so let's move into the regular agenda. I know one item that Councilman Oplager and I discussed a little bit earlier today, and we'll have staff introduce the item for us. It's on the consent agenda, and would love an introduction from staff, and then whatever time we have to discuss in the workshop, we'll take advantage of that. And it's going to be consent agenda item number 2. This is to approve a second amendment to the agreement for professional inspection services between the City of Manvel and Texas BBG Consulting, Inc. So Dan, we'll turn it over to you, and I'm sure Joe's is going to weigh in here too.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. So, like you said, this is only the second amendment to the contract with BBG or Safe Built, if you've heard that name. So, up until the year 2020, Jim Sullivan and I guess his son did all of the inspections in Manvel. So it was very, very small, very manageable at the time. And then, of course, in 2020, right before COVID, we started seeing, obviously, the growth that we're seeing now. So we partnered with this group. It was called BBG at the time, basically consisting of local prior building officials, building inspectors. They kind of went through. The gentleman that owned BBG, I guess, had worked in Pearland, and so he was pretty good about picking the cream of the crop. These really, really diligent, fair, good inspectors, and so built up a company quickly. And then that company was, I guess, bought out by Safe Built. And I've got Tracy here, so I'm gonna hand it over to her in just a second, so she can clean up my mess. But in general, we've been contracting with them since 2020. They have not increased their prices in the 5 years that we've been with them, which is fantastic. So we kind of sat down at the end of December and kind of went through some metrics and kind of looked at how things are working, and we're by and large very pleased with what they're doing for the city to replace what they provide, the service that they provide. It would take for sure a building official and probably at least 3 building inspectors. And so that's, not only staff, but then all of the benefits, the vehicles, the office space, and all of those things. So at some point, just like we've done with, city engineering, quite frankly, and planning, at some point we'll have those services in-house, quite likely. But right now, it makes the most sense, we think, still to keep contracting with them. So anyway, there are a couple of increases, not many. I think, what do we have, 5 or 6 increases, Joe's? And Tracy, if you'd like to come on up and, like I said, introduce yourself and tell council why we all get along so well.
Thank you for being here tonight, Tracy.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me. Hi, Jess. Dan hit on it very well, Mayor, Council. Safe Built did acquire BBG in 2022. It was a strategic position for Safe Built to move into the market. The staff that is with us today is the exact same staff that was here in 2020. So Evan Duvall, who works with Jose in some planning and pre-development meetings, is the same person that Kevin Taylor brought to y'all's city and introduced. Our building official, Scott Williams, the same thing. We have had a couple of inspectors change, but the core group of BBG did not change with the acquisition or the purchase by Safe Built. Your inspectors do not live in your city, but they are from Brazoria County or Galveston County. So they're familiar with the unique things that happen in a Gulf Coast or coastal tiered county. Same thing with our building officials that support your city. So any questions that I can possibly answer for y'all, I am here.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy.
Can you talk just real quick, Tracy, about the proposed increases?
Yes. So as Dan mentioned, we have not had a price increase. What we are proposing is to raise inspection fees by $2.50 an inspection and to raise our plan review fees by $25. What that does is kind of allows us to give raises to inspectors, permit techs, plan reviewers that support your city. It's kind of more just a cost of living adjustment from the 5 years of changes that we've seen in the economy. So, questions on that?
Joe's or Dan, do you guys have anything that you'd like to add to that?
I guess just a couple other sort of peripheral items. So some things that have come up over the years that they've been able to jump in and kind of help us out with. For the longest time, I was the only certified floodplain manager on staff, so all elevation certificates I was still reviewing. So for each structure in the floodplain, you've got three elevation certificates. So I was still doing all those. We now have, I guess, 3 other CFMs on staff, which is fantastic. But in the interim, Safe Built was helping us out just as a pass-through. They weren't making any, or, you know, it was just.
It was cost of doing
This
business.
is what we, this is what we charge the citizens, and then just basically pass that right on to Safe Built. Then the other thing, I guess, last year was the, and I'll mess up the acronym, sewer inspections, septic inspections.
OSSF.
Yes.
On-site sewage
Yes.
facilities, yes. So we perform, I think there's maybe 40 of those a year. It's not a ton of them left. But for the properties that don't have access to public provided sewer, we do perform those plan reviews for y'all and are certified with TCEQ or TEEX to provide the plan review services and then perform the inspections when those systems are installed. So that is a service that's part of our building department support for you.
And that was new for the city as well, because we'd used, if you've heard the name Bobby Lira from Brookside Village, we'd partnered with him for many, many, many years, and he's trying ever so hard to retire, but Glenda won't let him retire, I guess, in Brookside. But anyway, so we needed some help there, and so
Right.
they were able to get, I guess, the moral to that story was that they've been able to jump in, and even things that weren't sort of contemplated at the origin of the agreement with them in 2020, they've been able to help us out with those, which has been very appreciated.
One other item to note, because you did touch on it, right? Manvel's growing. You're going to reach a point where you hire a building official, okay? We are a transaction-based contract for y'all. So if you use the service, you pay for it. If you stop using the service, it doesn't terminate the contract. It's still there if you need to resurrect it. We know you're growing. We know you're going to take it in-house at some point, but we're still here to support in whatever capacity it is. So that's one of the things that I like about the way we support our cities is we're here today. You don't need us tomorrow, but you want us back tomorrow, 2 tomorrows after that, we're still here. So we're here to help you grow and become the city that you want to be, whether that's we're still actively engaged as your building official and your plans examiner, or we're not, but we're still here.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy. 2 administrative questions I have, and then we'll turn it over to Councilman Oplager and then Councilman Lands. I see that the amendment is addressed to BBG. Does it need to be where we amend the professional services agreement to be with Safe Built rather than BBG?
So BBG is a division of Safe Built because the original contract term hasn't expired. That's why the addendum is staying under BBG. But Safe Built owns BBG. It's the same. It's a name difference, but no, we shouldn't need to modify the amendment for that at this time.
Okay, perfect. The other one is the new Exhibit A, under the amendment to the agreement, has 8 line items. The data sheet lists out 6. So I wasn't sure, there's a discrepancy between the 2, and I wasn't sure which one we should be looking at.
And I can talk about that, Mayor. So there were a couple of items that when we first sat down, they were talking about increasing the prices, and then we kind of just basically negotiated, no, we're going to keep those the same. So that the 2, I know elevation certificate review is one of them.
Yep.
That one's going to stay at 150.
Correct.
And then the other one was, the new one is the on-demand. Is that the other one that was not on the 6th?
Virtual inspections.
Right, the virtual inspections.
Yep. That's utilized mostly when we have like emergency situations, like when a hurricane comes through and that kind of stuff. It gives some flexibility on that.
And actually, if you wouldn't mind, Tracy, would you explain how, because we haven't done those yet, the on-demand, the virtual inspections, because this is pretty neat. I mean, as far as taking over the superintendent's phone or whatever, right?
Right. So virtual inspections are just that. We utilize a program that's called Blitz. Blitz is super cool because we text the person that wants to perform the inspection, right? Maybe you, Mr. Lands, replaced a water heater in your house. We would send a text to your phone. You would click the link. We would be able to take control of your phone and ask you to show us the items that we need to look at to perform that inspection. Where the benefit is on this is in a hurricane, where we need to get power turned back on, or we need to get gas turned back on if it's in a winter month or it's 90 degrees outside. Hot water heater replacements, furnace replacements, your homeowners would not have to wait. Typically, we see these performed a lot. So the plumber goes in to replace a hot water heater that's got gas to it. There has to be an inspection performed in order for y'all to close that out, right? What this does is it allows the contractor to schedule that inspection virtual, for us to complete that inspection, pass it, and then the homeowner doesn't have to wait there the next day for an inspector to show up after the plumber's done. So it's a huge benefit to cities when you have to consider all of the permits that are pulled for occupied homes. Furnaces and hot water heaters are the top two. And it saves the homeowner. She's already there, or he's there, because the plumber's in their house replacing that hot water heater. If he can get the inspection done right then, and then he packs up and leaves, the homeowner's finished, and they're no longer inconvenienced. So.
And then we wouldn't use it for, like, obviously something
No, this
near
is
and dear to your
strictly,
heart as foundations and stuff. Yeah.
So I limit this to occupied home type inspections. We're never going to do a foundation. We're never going to do framing inspections. We're not going to do plumbing top outs. We're do no commercial inspections in this manner. Remote virtual inspections are strictly limited to residential conditions, and it's usually for what we consider the inconveniences. Water heater replacements, mechanical replacements, somebody's putting in a sprinkler system, those types of items. We're not going out and doing structural inspections using a camera. That's not going to happen.
I love the use of technology. It's a great tool.
Yeah.
Councilman Oplager.
David.
Oh, okay, so we'll go
He's ready. He's got his mic on. He's ready.
Councilman
Well,
Lance.
it's nice to see you here this evening, and the timing is really good. I was going to come into Dan's office earlier today, and I think he was tied up in a meeting, because I wanted to bring a part of this topic to him today, because this is something that I want to look at in this new year. Specifically, I know we have several people, several businesses that it seems that the inspection process lags. I don't know if it's, and this is where I want to check into it. I want to go do some door knocking on some of these recent businesses that's opened. I want to hear from them what has been the issues. Has it been the issues with them and they're not fulfilling their responsibility before the inspections get signed off? Or is there extra hurdles there with the inspection company? So I want to hear from them, but then I think it may be good too if I hear from the inspector. I just want to put the two pieces together and see if we can't fit better in our city. I see some of our little businesses, it takes so long for them to open, and is it them, or?
You're talking about commercial businesses?
Commercial, yes.
So, commercial businesses have more than just your building MEP to contend with, right? Because if they serve food, they have a health inspection, right? If they have fire suppression system, then they're dealing with the fire marshal's office. So there's a lot that happens in that process to getting a business open in the inspections, above and beyond just walking in and saying, yeah, the plumbing was installed right, or that the fire sprinkler system was put in right. All those pieces have to merge together. Our services regarding inspections, if it's scheduled by 3:30 p.m. today, we will be there next business day.
Okay. Well, case in point, I love Firehouse Subs. I'm waiting for this Firehouse Subs to open, and I drive by there, it's not open. But over here in Pearland on 518, there's a Chipotle that's been built from ground up. I mean, from dirt, and they're open. I mean, they're taking customers, and we're still sitting over here. I thought, something's not right here. How can they be so fast over there, and, we're a snail's race over here?
Yeah.
So that's why I just want to learn, are we doing all that we can do? And is our inspection group doing all they can do?
Absolutely.
Because I do have some we all, I think several council people has heard some of our citizens with the frustration about, the inspections. It's an issue. And I know we've improved on that. But it's
There's
just something
always
that I
room to
definitely want
improve.
to address in 2025.
Absolutely.
And-
Any participation from us, we'd be happy to join.
Well, some of the metrics that they're tracking for us now, and in fact, I guess I was talking to Harry about it earlier today. So as an example, in December of 2023, they were taking about 12 days on average for a commercial review. And now in November of 2024, they're doing 50% more, and the average days in review is 3. So from 12 days down to 3. And one of the things that I guess they mentioned to us was whenever we asked this question, hey, is this something that you could track? And they're like, they liked it so much that I think y'all are using it in other cities now.
We are.
Just the idea of tracking this. So I've got some pretty good empirical data on how much they have improved just by looking at the numbers, quite frankly. So.
And Dan, are we still sending out that survey from Development Services
Yes, sir.
after people pull permits or have pre-development meetings? Because I know there were questions in it specifically geared to the partnership that we have with third-party vendors and
Right.
the feedback. What are some of those results showing us in the survey?
Not very many people fill them out. Joe's, have you seen results lately?
Not recently, and those results go straight to our public information officer, and we'll get together and bring that information to you, so.
Okay. Well, it's great to hear. And I know, Dan, also in the city manager update is where the data that's provided by you guys gets included in that city manager update. Would you be able to resend to all of us the most recent city manager update that includes the safe built response times? Because that, I think, is a trailing 12 months, I believe. So we'd be able to look and see what it shows for the past year.
Right.
I think it's actually 24 months, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
24
Yeah.
months. That's great. Okay. And Councilman Lands, I might be able to help you with some of the information to see, get some of that data, there.
Well, and a good, to your point, look back with McDonald's and Whataburger. The timing, that had nary a thing to do with the city. It's just that's.
And that could be the case.
Sometimes it is, yeah.
It has my attention.
Councilman Oplager, we'll turn it over to you, and then we'll wrap it up here in about 2-3 minutes, and then we'll come back to this item during the regular agenda. Councilman?
Okay, so this will be real quick. So y'all do over 600 inspections a month?
Yes, sir.
What is the average, do you know, off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head, I can't tell you. I can tell you I ran a report, and we did 15,000 plus inspections in 2024.
Okay.
Now, that's residential
Yeah.
only. That's not counting commercial and remodels and stuff. Again, like Dan touched on, right? I have 3 inspectors dedicated to your city. I have 1 full-time plans examiner and a full-time permit tech on our side, as well as a building official and planners.
So we'll probably go over then the 600.
You have historically been there, yes. There's
So-
multiple line items on the price increase because, for example, you're correct. Right now, today, we're doing all your inspections. If in 2025's budget, you decide to hire a building official and an inspector,
Right.
and you took those 2 services in-house and said, hey, we're going to keep half of the inspections, if that number goes below a certain threshold, then yes, the fee per inspection goes up, but the change from your existing contract to the new one is still only $2.50.
All right, so real quick then, and this is something I brought up in April, I think, and it goes back to the roofing permits. And the roofing permit is $50. Yet there's no real clear reason why, because all we're doing is driving by and looking at it to see if the roof is on.
So there's on the roofing permit, there's 2 parts to it. You're in a windstorm area, which requires that roof to be certified with TDI to continue to have wind and hail coverage for the replacement roof. So by pulling the permit, 2 things happen. 1, the city can make sure that certification occurs by the roofing contractor because it's part of the requirement of that inspection. 2, we make sure that when the roofer goes out and does the work, that the plumbing roof jacks are still sticking out of the roof and that somebody didn't cut them off, and then we have noxious gas accumulated in a roof.
Right, but there's no timeline on that, from a time a permit is pulled to the inspection is done.
It's up to the contractor that pulls the permit to schedule the inspection.
So, is that something that can be done virtually? Because
I have not historically done roof inspections virtual, because if we see something that we think is odd, we try to make an appointment with the applicant to get up in the attic. So no, that's not one that I would do virtual.
So you're saying that your guys actually go out there when the job is being done?
When the contractor schedules the inspection, we go out the next business
It's all
day.
dependent upon the contractor still.
It's just like your home builders. They have to call and schedule inspections for new construction. Remodels and additions are the same. The burden's on the applicant to schedule those inspections.
Yeah.
And so you guys actually go up into the attic of every single home. Is it?
If it's a gas-fired appliance and we can gain access, yes. If we can't, we go to the backyard and the sides and at least look for the roof jack penetrations that would apply for a furnace and a water heater and a gas dryer.
Okay. And is that something that's tracked on any of the
It's one of the inspections we would perform based on what's scheduled each day. Yes, it would be in the inspection data.
Yes, and the reason I asked you, I just think we still have a big miss, right? Especially because I see it all the time, that people say, oh, I can't get my windstorm certificate because, right? And then they're stuck with that 15% surcharge for the rest of the time that they own that house, right? Every year. And there's still a big gap in this process.
Well, and that falls, unfortunately, windstorm's a tricky beast,
Yeah, it is.
especially when we get into re-roofs. If a hailstorm comes through, we get a flood in every county that touches the Gulf Coast of roofing contractors that are not familiar with the Texas windstorm program. And if the homeowners are not educated enough to understand that when you do a roof replacement, a certification is required, they're not asking the right questions of the contractors they're hiring. Now, Manvel's put everything in place, in my opinion, that you can. Contractor registration, requiring that a permit's pulled. So the city's doing, I think, what it possibly can, but you're absolutely correct. If that contractor never calls for that roof inspection,
Or I just think, and when I saw that virtual, I said, well, God, if you're not climbing around on the roof, if you're not there for the process, if you're just there to validate that it's done, right?
but they're required to have an engineer do an inspection on that roof to get the
Yeah, but
certification.
that's not y'all.
That's not us,
No,
because we're not an approved.
That's what I'm talking about. Your role is just validating that the job is done.
And that the roof
That's right,
jacks and that
right.
the gas.
So that can't be, hold the phone up and,
Even if we could do that, we are still not an authorized agency with the Texas Department of Windstorm to certify the roof. So it still doesn't accomplish what you're talking about in making sure that that roof gets certified once the replacement's complete. That burden is still on the roofing contractor to make sure that he pays an engineer to come out there and do that inspection and sign off on it. So even if we did a virtual while they're installing it, it doesn't solve the certification process with WPI, with TDI.
right, yeah. So I was just, if a way to save somebody $25.
Right.
That's what I'm looking at, right? Because I still don't think the process works and, but all right. So that's really all I had, man.
Okay. Well, Tracy, thank you for being here. We'll probably
You're
call
welcome.
you back forward for some additional questions here in a little bit. Council, what I'd like to do is we'll take a 6-minute recess until 6:10.
Thank you.
And thank you, Tracy. And then at 6:10, we'll reconvene for the regular agenda. Sound good? Yes. Yep. right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this regular city council meeting to order here at 6:13 p.m. Welcome to our first meeting of 2025. We have the invocation tonight, and we have Pastor Brian Leatherwood, who is going to lead us in the invocation. So, Pastor, if you could come forward, say a few words, and lead us into prayer.
Thank you for allowing me to be here today. And we're just going to go ahead and pray for this meeting. And let's pray together. Lord Jesus, we thank you. We thank you for your love and your mercy and your grace toward us. We thank you, Father, for the privilege we have here tonight to gather here, that our voices be heard. We thank you for the freedom that we have, Lord, in this country, in this community, Lord. God, and the privileges that we enjoy and the blessings that you have given to us. We thank you, oh God, for everything that we have, everything you have given to us. And I thank you, Father, for these public servants that have given themselves, God, to serve this community. We are asking tonight that there would be a spirit, oh God, of unity. There would be a spirit, oh God, of grace that would permeate these meetings. You would give us wisdom. You would give us guidance. And your spirit would settle over this meeting today, Lord. God, that there would be a spirit of peace and there would be wisdom, Lord, to know what to do, to make right decisions for the betterment of the community. I ask you, Father, that you would bless everyone that is participating. And God, your spirit and your love and your mercy, God, would help each one of us. Guide these men and these women, God, as they make decisions, and help us, Lord, to make this community a community that looks towards you, God, and looks towards its citizens with favor. And God makes right decisions, helps those that are down and out, helps the poor. And God, let that be a blessing, Father, to everyone here. We ask you in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Pastor Brian, Councilman David Lands was inquiring, what church are you with?
House of Refuge. House of Refuge. Yes, sir.
Next, we have the inspirational reading from Councilmember Jerome Hudson. Councilman.
Good evening. I have a few words of wisdom from the 7 spiritual laws of success, and it reads as follows. Practicing the law of giving is actually very simple. If you want joy, give joy to others. If you want love, learn to give love. If you want attention and appreciation, learn to give attention and appreciation. If you want material affluence, help others to become materially affluent. In fact, the easiest way to get what you want is to help others get what they want. This principle works equally well for individuals, corporations, societies, and nations. If you want to be blessed with all the good things in life, learn to silently bless everyone with all the good things in life.
Thank you, Councilman. Wise words. If you'll please join me in saying the pledges. First, to the U.S. flag, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to the Texas flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. We have a few proclamations and presentations to do tonight. I do want to let you guys know as you leave here tonight, when you walk out the double doors, you look to your right, we have a little kiosk there. We'd love to get your feedback on our future Manvel initiative. So if you can, take some time, fill out that survey. Let us know what you think about what you see on that screen. The first proclamation that we have tonight is National Human Trafficking Prevention Month, January 2025. The proclamation reads, whereas human trafficking is a grievous violation of human rights and a public health issue that exploits individuals through force, fraud, or coercion for labor or commercial sex. And whereas this crime weakens the health and well-being of individuals, families, and communities across generations and continues to persist more than 20 years after the passing of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act. And whereas an estimated 27.6 million people are subjected to human trafficking globally, with cases reported in every U.S. state and territory, including Texas, which has amongst the highest rates of reported incidents, with 79,000 minors being victims of trafficking and an estimated 313,000 victims overall statewide. And whereas in Brazoria County, documented cases of human trafficking, including in our own city, underscore the local impact of this global crime, with vulnerable populations, including minors, disproportionately at risk, and whereas human trafficking can happen to anyone, although certain populations are at greater risk, including those affected by abuse, violence, poverty, unstable living conditions, social disconnection, or discrimination, and whereas trafficking can occur in person and online across industries such as restaurants, domestic work, construction, agriculture, and factories, and by strangers or individuals known to the victims, such as employers, partners, or family members. And whereas the prevention of human trafficking requires a multifaceted approach, including raising awareness, building individual, community, and societal resilience, reducing social inequities, and addressing conditions that contribute to exploitation. And whereas a coordinated community-wide effort involving individuals, families, organizations, and local government is essential to effectively combat human trafficking and support survivors. Now therefore, I, Dan Davis, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Manvel, Texas, do hereby proclaim the month of January 2025 as National Human Trafficking Prevention Month, reaffirming our commitment to increase awareness and education on human trafficking, make resources available to assist individuals and communities impacted by human trafficking, and build diverse public-private partnerships to support a more comprehensive response to prevent and respond to human trafficking. Next, council, we have some recognitions to give. If you guys could please join me around in the front, as we'll be taking photos after each of these, and just give us a second here to get set up. All right, so the first recognition that we have tonight is for one of our students at Manvel Junior High. So James, if you could please come up to the front tonight and join us. So James goes to Manvel Junior High, and James had a project that he wanted to work on to provide Christmas gifts to students at the school. And I want you to tell a little bit more about that, and then we'll read this special recognition. So you want to come forward and say a few words? Nice to meet you, James. Thank you for being here. So tell us a little bit about what you did at the junior high school.
So we had a STEM fair project. We had choices of doing engineering, experimental, or community advocacy. I chose to do community advocacy, so I had the idea of doing a toy drive to donate to kids at E.C. Mason Elementary School. We started putting boxes in my school and just waited until January 13th when the toy drive ended. I promoted it in a few of my classes and at a local gym at Pearland. We ended up reaching our goal of 150 toys, and we sorted them out from male, female, and for both female and male. So we wrapped all the toys until we were prepared to send them off to E.C. Mason pre-K and kinder students. It ended up being a success, and E.C. Mason counselor, Miss Rayford, helped us of how many students there were in pre-K and kinder E.C. Mason elementary students.
So I think that's incredible, James, that you're in 6th grade? Yes. So in sixth grade, you had this desire in your heart to make an impact, and you positively impacted the life of 150 students in Alvin ISD. And that's a truly incredible thing, and we are so proud of you. So we actually have a certificate of recognition for you tonight, and then we're going to take a photo here. And so this recognition reads that in recognition of your remarkable leadership and generosity in organizing a toy drive that brought joy and smiles to the children of EC Mason. Your incredible effort in collecting, wrapping, and distributing 150 toys has brightened the holiday season and touched the hearts of so many, reminding all of us of the true spirit of giving. And we just wanted to recognize you tonight and say thank you for all that you did. So I'll give that to you there. All right, we're going to take a photo here. Okay, bud? This is Councilman Jerome Hudson. This is Councilman Ed Perry. This is Councilman Harry Oaklater. Congratulations, this is Councilman Keith Bonner. Councilman David Lands. All right, so we're all going to squeeze together here and take a photo. Next, we have recognition of the Manvel Art Contest winners. We had two of the winners that were able to pick up their trophy earlier in December, and that was Corin Warner for the K through 5th grade competition, and then Zoe Asina for the 6th to 8th grade. We have the 9th to 12th grade winner, and I believe this winner also won last year. So now you're a two-peat winner. You know, you're working your way to be like the Patriots. Maybe you'll be a 6-time winner. Just saying, more than the Cowboys. And so we have Annalise Murphy here tonight. Annalise, again, congratulations. And we have a trophy that you can rub into all of your siblings to show that you are a 2-time winner. So it's nice to see you again. Thank you for being here. Would you like to say a few words?
I'm just really glad to. Thank you. I'm really glad to have this opportunity to win a second time. This is really fun to do it. Thank you.
Absolutely. And then I think Brooke is going to take a photo with us as well. All right. Next, we have the recognition for our Parade of Lights winners. And so we had 3 different categories. The categories were Spectacular Sparkle, the Greatest Community Pride, and then the Best in Show. And so we're going to call you up one at a time, and then we'll take all of us will take a photo together. So the winner of the Spectacular Sparkle was the 288 South Slingshots family. Congratulations, sir. That's for you right there. Congratulations. No, don't go. We got to get you in a photo. We got to get you in a photo. Trying to escape. Next, we have for the Greatest Community Pride, we have DeAndre with the 1940 Chevy. Is DeAndre here? No DeAndre. Okay, we will make sure to get that to DeAndre. And in exchange for not being here, he has to give me his 1940 Chevy. Next, we have the Best in Show, which is Miss Gloria with her golf cart. Congratulations, Gloria. All right, next we have the Holiday Lights Showdown winners. So this was the first time that we were able to do this competition. We had many homes throughout Manvel that signed up to participate. Residents and different community members were then able to drive around town, and they were able to vote on which homes they thought were the best based off of the different categories that they were in. I do not see the Hinson family here tonight, so we will just be publicly recognizing one family that won the title of the Merry Masterpiece, and that is going to be Gabe Garza and the Garza family. So if you guys want to come forward and accept this award, and congratulations, guys. Thank you for participating. I know you put a lot of work into it every single year. And I told Patrick I'd let him say a few words. Patrick, you want to say a few words in the microphone?
Say good job, Dad. Good job, Dad.
Oh, so sweet, so sweet. Well, congratulations, guys. Thank you for participating. We'll take a photo here. Congratulations, guys. Now we'll see if you guys can be like Annalise and retain the title for next year. So the competition's on. And I think that is it for tonight. So let us reset here. We'll continue on with the meeting. All right. Now we will go to the public comment section of the meeting. We have two people that have signed up to speak tonight. When I call your name, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and then you have 3 minutes to address council. The first individual that we have is Garrett Knox. Garrett, thank you for being here tonight.
Hello, my name is Garrett Rossi Knox, 4835 Patterson Road. I want to talk about the Kirby expansion. I'm on the younger side, but I have managed a business for most of my life. I'm also a business owner. And I know that in business, and some of you are business owners, you have to weigh the priorities. And so with this particular project, it's probably going to be pretty expensive. You will have some eminent domain things going on. I've dealt with eminent domain. My family had some property taken by the county a few years back, and so I know it's a process. It's very expensive. I just think that there's a better way to use the money that's going to be used towards this road expansion. We have communities in Manvel that have serious issues, drainage issues. If you go down south 1128, Hanselman, and even here to the east off of Mississippi and Louisiana, these people have been complaining about drainage issues for years. And so I just think that we could use this money to benefit them. We could, have a ditch plan, clean our ditches, maybe buy some property and implement some wetlands. Pearland does this, and they have some great wetlands, and it's not only for the benefit of wildlife and birds, but they also have bird tourism, and it brings people into the city, and they spend money, and not to mention it brings the floodwater out of the affected communities and into those retention areas. And so those are just a few ideas that we can do. I just think that we can use this money, instead of expanding this road now, use it for our communities. That's why I decided to run for council, to bring the voice of the people to City Hall. And so, I'm just hoping that you look at this from a different angle and say, maybe we could push this plan down the road and benefit some people that have serious issues now. So, thank you.
Next, we have David Mintzberg. David, thank you for... Sorry, my microphone wasn't on. David Mintzberg, thank you for being here tonight, and how's your half marathon training going?
Doing fairly well. Was out there today struggling through it. For those who don't know, the Houston half and the Houston full is yesterday, 2 weeks. Mayor, will I see you out there?
You will not. You'll see me cheering.
Okay.
I'll cheer for you,
I'll
David.
take every cheer I can get.
I'm trying to get Jason Black, our MEDC president, to run with me one year, so we'll see. We'll see. He said.
So, Mayor, council member, staff, thank you. I know I have 3 minutes, and I'm going to try to cover quickly. But what I'm going to diverge from my remarks by saying I was pretty impressed by the sixth grader who spoke. I wish I could speak as well off the cuff as he did. And so, James, what I'd like to do is, in recognition of your work and your contributions, is I'd like to make a $100 contribution to EC Mason to help you out. So, wonderful job. So, council members, Mayor, I had promised to be back and brief people as often as possible, and I thought this would be a good situation. We don't have anything to vote on. Just a quick update on how things are going. So, the first thing I did was, following our meeting and following the vote, the successful vote on the amendment, I've had 2 all-hands-on-deck meetings with LJA to focus them on the task. Keating has participated in both of those meetings, and they've gone very well. LJA had originally promised a date, which I had reported to the mayor, of January 15th. They now say, as a result of vacations, holidays, travel, and workload priority, that they will be ready on January 15th to have a phone call debrief with me, but they will not have the final product ready. But they kept to the January 15th, sorta, but that will be their final report will be ready now January the 24th, which is what they've promised me. I have told them that it's of the highest importance. I spoke with them regarding TxDOT access. They will draft that letter. Mayor, you and I talked about that. They will draft that letter once they've completed the engineering, the infrastructure design. They are doubtful that TxDOT will entertain or even respond until 288 is till the work is 99% complete. And one of the folks on the call said that they weren't sure that TxDOT would respond until the work was 110% complete. City of Manvel, Dan knows, y'all deal with TxDOT far more than I do. We're subject to, their timeline. We've had multiple discussions with Keating regarding the planning and the scope of the infrastructure. Those have gone well. We had an all-hands meeting in mid-December with the mayor pro tem, city staff to discuss timing and plans. I have continued to be in touch with Del Bello residents. 2 residents reached out to me. They were very friendly and inquired mostly about what was going to go on Del Bello. And a couple that I then reached out to that I met when I'd gone door to door to bring them up to date on what had happened here at council. All 4 of those conversations were focused on what's going to happen on Del Bello Boulevard, what commercial, what's the timing, and they were particularly interested in knowing what's happening with the underpass, overpass, completion, and when the subsequent toll road's coming in. I told them that wasn't me, but that was a lot of discussion, and I urged them to be in touch with Manvel City Hall. We have Mud Council that we're working with closely. Mud Council is going to be working with brokers to determine valuations for the remaining parcels. We need that in order to be able to engage with y'all in the discussions that I promised to have regarding adjustments on the reimbursements. Mud Council says we're going to need, it's a little bit of a catch-22. We're going to need all of that information from LJA. Then they're going to, and I told them they needed to start on getting those valuations immediately. They said they're really going to be difficult to start those real discussions on valuations until they had the engineering, but they're going to be engaging brokers and appraisers right away on that. Other than that, I think that's pretty much what I've done since being here. I understand this is not a place for questions or comments, but as always, should anybody wish to reach out to me directly, all my information is available and has been provided. And, I understand you can't respond, but I'm happy to provide my cell publicly, which is 281-714-5218. Anyone can feel free to call me at any time with any questions. I'm happy to take those.
Thank you, Mr. Mintzberg. Appreciate you being here, and thank you for following through and giving us an update.
Thank you.
Having no more public comments, we will now move on to the city manager update. Dan?
Thank you, Mayor. Happy New Year, Mayor and Council. As we get back into this new year, I thought it'd be a good time to go through our upcoming calendar. MEDC will be this Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. Next Monday is our first PD&Z meeting of the year. Next Thursday will be our Capital Improvement Advisory Committee, or our Impact Fee Committee. That's next Thursday. I'm sorry, Parks Board also is, when is Parks Board coming up? I'm sorry, Parks Board is on the 16th. Impact Advisory Committee is on the 23rd. There we go. I got it. And the next council meeting will not be on the 20th as normal because that's going to be Martin Luther King Day. So it'll be on the 21st. Mayor, you kind of mentioned earlier in the workshop, Joe, I was going to ask Joe's to talk about the kiosk out front, but you're right. The kiosk is out front. You want to tell them real quick, Joe's, what that's for?
Yeah, we have the kiosk outside to receive some comments and feedback through a survey regarding the future Manvel, the strategic plan that we've been working on. The next coming few days, we'll have a series of posts, social media posts, to bring the attention of our citizens to the draft that was presented to the council last time, to kind of get feedback from them on whether they how they react to the draft that was provided. And based on the feedback, there may be some changes that would be made to the draft that was presented, and we're looking forward to have an adoption on the January 21st meeting, if everything goes well.
Thanks, Jose. And then the last thing was, if you notice, flags are at half staff, and will be, I believe, until the 28th of January, and that was in honor of President Jimmy Carter passing away. So all federal and state flags are at half mast. So that's it for tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. One of the interesting facts I learned about President Jimmy Carter researching his life is that him and his wife had been married for 77 years. Most people don't live past 77 years old, and to be married for that long, and the testament of the love and the commitment that they had to make to each other was just incredible. All right, next we will move on to the consent agenda. Before we might pull anything off the consent agenda, well, let's talk about that first. Is there anything, council, that you would like to see pulled off the consent agenda?
I would still like to talk about
Two? Yep, we can talk about it. Councilman Bonner, did you have something, or was that resolved?
Corrected.
Okay.
3 had a typo. We corrected that. I'm sorry, 4 had a typo. We corrected that.
Okay, perfect. So Councilman Oplager would like to talk about number 2, so we'll talk about that, and then if we need to, we'll pull it off the agenda. I have a few questions just about agenda item number 3, and then we'll make a determination on whether or not we'd like to pull that off. So Councilman Oplager, we'll turn it over to you for agenda item number 2, and then Tracy, we might have you come back forward, but no need right now. But if we need you, we'll have you come up.
So it's more about the metrics and the the displaying of that. I think it's some interesting data, right? And especially because if they're inspecting the new homes and stuff like that, isn't that something that could be, I know it's if it's in the manager's report, but a home buyer would it be interesting to see which builder is getting it right and stuff like that? Because, things that get measured get done. And if a builder knows that his performance is being measured out there by inspections, would be somewhat of an interesting snapshot. Is that something that, a possibility?
You're reading my mind. I actually asked that question to Safe Built last week, and they're looking into it. I think that there is. It would be very interesting, especially whenever council is approached from another development, and hey, these are the builders we're going to bring. Wait a second. We have some data on those builders, for instance. So they're looking into that for us right now.
All right, hang on just a second. I got my notes here. I think I got one other question. Hang on just a second. All right, so I guess that in the validation and the requirements and all that, that's something that goes to from Safe Built to the city? Is that their inspection reports and all that comes to the city?
The inspection results?
Yeah.
Well, those go straight into into MyGov, so they're updated on the fly by their inspectors.
All right, yeah, so I guess again, are we in that process of the inspection process, right? If, let's just say a home is red tagged or whatever, how is that deficiency reported is that reported to the city to manage, or is that reported back to the contractor?
Oh, okay. Well, so it's reported in MyGov if there's a red tag and there's something that they need to correct, and y'all help me out if I need to be corrected. But so far so good. So just like any other inspection, even a city inspection. So we'll put the results of that inspection up in MyGov so they can see it real time. Literally while they're still out in the field, and they can see exactly what it is that needs to be corrected. If there's any issues, then of course all the contact information is in there too, so they can call them to verify if they need to.
Okay, so is that something that we don't have to update in the agreement or anything as far as that type of data reporting or anything? All right, and then so I guess in the rate schedule, it's been 5 years since since there's been an increase.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's it, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilman. Councilman Bonner?
Yeah, I wanted to, and I kind of spoke a little bit about this in a meeting earlier with Dan today, but I wonder, have we thought about a process when we have a contractor, basically a contractor doing work for us? Is there a process where we might have a third party that, audit's a bad word, but how do we grade if they're doing the best job they can for us, other than what they're turning down? Is there a process to audit that where we have an outside inspector come and we can get a comparison? I'm just trying to think of, right now, the only way we have any idea whether the inspections are great or right, and don't get me wrong, I think we'd probably already know. I think we found out that they use the best people possible, because that's why you can't hire a good person, because they're all working for them. But any business, I think, that has third parties doing their work needs to have an audit process. We do that on accounting, we do it on everything else, and I'm just wondering if that's been thought of at all.
I wanted to touch on this. I like what you're talking about. Quality control is a key component to this. One of the things that Safe Built brought to the table when they acquired BBG is, because Safe Built is a national company, we have an internal quality control. So our building officials 4 times a year have to go behind every inspector that works in each market and perform multiple inspections with them to ensure it's a training opportunity to make sure we're doing a better job, to answer questions, but also to ensure that we don't have somebody sliding through the cracks and not doing a good job. So internally, we have a QA process, and that is public knowledge. So if you ever have questions, we'd be happy to share that information with you if that helps you any in this thought process.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And so, Tracy, are those results provided to the city?
They can be. I'd be happy to.
Okay.
Again, because it's an internal QA, we pick random jobs. We don't tell the inspector when we're coming for the QA. They get a call that morning, right? And sometimes it's me, sometimes it's other building officials. Hey, I'm going to be in Manvel today. We're going to do these 3 jobs together, so move them to the afternoon. I'll be there at 2. So
What I would love to see, so I work full-time in the damage prevention industry. And what you see, the relationship between contract locators and utility companies is contract locators will do their in-house audits, and they have to provide those results to the utility. So I would love to start to see those results that you guys do for the Manvel-specific work provided to the city. But then also the utility companies in-house do randomized audits based off of risk or complexity of the project. And Councilman Bonner, to speak to your point, I'd love to see us have that as well. I think that would be a valuable tool, Tracy, for you guys to have, because if we identify somebody that maybe is, not saying that you have anyone, but that's cutting corners as a supervisor, as an owner, as a manager, I'd want to know that, because that needs to be addressed.
Absolutely.
So Dan and Joe's, if we could look up what that process might be like, whether we have the resources in-house to do that, I think that would be a great value add to what we're comprehensively doing here.
Perfect.
Good call out, Councilman. Council, any other comments or questions? Dan, you mentioned something during the workshop that stood out to me about, at some point, we will most likely have to bring this work in-house. There will be that point where it makes sense to do that, while still possibly also utilizing the services from Safe Built. When are we projecting that point to occur, to plan from a budgetary standpoint? You said 1 building official, 3 inspectors, you'd be looking at 4 vehicles, equipment. Let's say a building official makes $120 a year, inspectors make, what, somewhere between 80 to 100, so you're looking at a minimum of 400,000 plus just in salaries alone. And then you have the other added benefits, so you're looking at anywhere from 750 when you get the vehicles, depreciation, what, 750 to 800,000 just to start. But I mean, we have to be thinking about that and planning for the future.
Yeah, the building official position has come up in a couple of recent budget, planning sessions. It just hasn't made the final cut, quite frankly. So I suspect we'll be putting it in this year. I mean, that's the first place to start. That gives Joe's and his team the point of contact for Safe Built and for the residents. That's the first person that we need to get on board. And obviously and that's what really, will carry the flavor, I guess, if you will, the mission and the core values and everything that you can't get with a contractor or a consultant. You just can't. I mean, so eventually that will be the first person. If we can get it this year, that'd be great. And then we'll just have to sort of plan it out when it makes the most sense. What is the optimum number of inspections that we can handle based on, the projections. I don't have a crystal ball for that right now, but the building official will be the first person. I don't presume that we'd be looking for building inspectors this year necessarily. We haven't gone into the budget process yet, but.
Well, and that building official might be the person that does those audits internally.
Right. Absolutely.
On
Absolutely.
Safe Built. The reason why I like contract work is, as Tracy mentioned during the workshop, you can ramp up as you need to ramp up, and you can ramp down. At some point, your growth is going to plateau, and your needs for inspections are going to change. You're not going to do 15,000 residential inspections a year for the next 50 years. I mean, it's just not feasible. But if you hire an employee, that changes the dynamics, because that's a full-time staff, retirement, et cetera. So, okay. A lot of my questions were answered during the workshop. There was one other final. With these fees increasing, of course, these fees are passed down to the person that's requesting the permit and requesting the inspection. Are we needing to update our fee schedule to reflect these?
We're not proposing an increase in the fees right now. It obviously slightly impacts what we get to collect, what we keep, if you will. Okay. But we're not proposing any changes in fees right now.
Okay, so no increase in fees?
Right.
Okay. All right, that's all that I have. Any other comments, questions, Council, for that one? No. Okay, I just had some questions, and we'll leave item number 2 on the agenda, on the consent agenda. Item number 3, this is approving the city manager to execute agreements for FF&E items for the Manvel Police Station. Dan, could you just give us an overview of that item? And then I just have 2 small questions here.
Sure. FF&E, that's furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So the overall contract with Flintco does not, I mean, that's the structure, that's the building, that's the site, but not, say the desks, the computers, the security, the Ethernet cabling, all of the internal security stuff. So you've seen one I guess, phase, so to speak. Yeah, you've seen the first phase of FFF&E so far. This is the second phase, and then we have just one more, Chief? Possibly one more. So we have it in the budget already, but whenever you add up all 4 of these different contracts, it's more than the city manager is permitted to approve. And so the mayor and I talked about this, the idea, the concept, it's all, you're already aware of all this. It's just these specific contracts y'all haven't seen yet. So that's why we thought it would be the most appropriate to just go ahead and get it in front of you. You've got the actual, what is it, 4 different ones, right? They're all attached in your packet so that you can review any of those. And obviously, Chief can talk about what they are specifically, but.
Well, and I appreciate including those in the packet. They gave me time to review them, and I appreciate that detail. So I'll save Chief any questions there. One question, Dan, you just said one more phase. What is the projected high-level cost for what I'll classify as phase 4 or phase 3 of FF&E? And sorry, Chief, I guess I got you answering a question.
The phase, what we would call the phase 3 would be the contingencies, basically is what it is. It would be working with the Flintco team, the PGAL team, and some of the subcontractors when it comes to the security, the audiovisual, such as that. We've tried to look at everything we could. But in any project you have of this magnitude, there's always going to be something that we missed. So the phase 3 side of it would be the contingency, the items that we missed that come up. For example, I was already hit with one this morning that we didn't plan for. There's a possibility we might have the money for it. It's backup or a redundant server for our network system. Our IT, Patrick, has been working on that for a couple of months, but over the holidays, he was not able to get the projected numbers to add for tonight. So we're looking at a minimal cost on that. So the phase 3 side of it is going to be minimal if there is even one. It's something that I can't project because we haven't got there yet. The phase 2 side of it, just to go back a little bit, just to remind everybody, the phase 1 we did was the critical side, was the critical infrastructure, the critical pieces or components that coincide with the construction. So we had to get that taken care of a few months ago, and that was able to get the construction going. As a matter of fact, DataVox is actually going to be coming out Thursday to start working on their side of it, and those are the ones we approved several months ago. The phase 2 side, which are it's Pro Maxima, that's the fitness equipment, the Embrace Solutions, which is the furniture, desks and the furniture, Russ Bassett, the dispatch consoles. We found out in December that there's a 23-week delay on getting that equipment, so we needed to get that. We didn't realize that until we started talking with them. It's going to be kind of upsetting if we move into a new building in June and our dispatch is still in the old building. They might be mad at me, so we had to move forward with that one pretty quick. And then the Bearcom / Motorola is actually moving the transferring of the consoles, the dispatch consoles to the new building, plus building the antenna we're going to need out back. So all of these items were the ones that we could work in towards the later end of the project. So that's where we're at right now. What I would call the phase 3 would be the contingency, something that come up, we missed that, something we'll have to put in. I estimate we're probably between 96 and 97% complete.
I don't want to say we're 100% yet, because if I say we're 100%, something's inevitably going to happen. So we're there, but we just lack that little bit to go.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that update, Chief. From the overall, because the Phase 1, Phase 2, it says it's rolling into the project construction budget, which was $21 million. Are we still on track to be at or below? We're not projecting with the approval of this expenditure to go over budget?
The original budget was for 21 million, but we added some more revenue to that budget at the end of the year from interest that account had earned and from other little projects that we were able to move in there. So that all of those are within budget right now.
Okay, so what's the total budget right now?
For this year's 19,917,000.
Total budget for the overall project?
For the overall project, 24,287,000.
Okay. And that includes the 21 million for construction costs and then for FF&E and contingencies?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And then are we still, so that's what we're on track. We're not expected to go over the 24.8?
We're hoping.
Okay.
I'm gonna-
And then,
24.3. I guess it was like 24.28, I think, so.
24.28, okay.
Yes, sir.
287, okay.
Yes.
We approved 21, correct? So we can't go over 21 without coming back for another vote?
When we did we made a couple of adjustments last year, increasing it from 21 million to 22 something. I don't remember the exact number. And then at the end of the year, when we did the budget for this year, we were able to move what we had earned in interest into this budget so that they could cover the cost. We knew since day one that they were going to be over budgeted by about 3 million is what we had talked about originally, even potentially 6 million at first.
The original budget of 21 million was for construction, not the FF&E. The FF&E is added as a separate budget item. The entire 3 projects that was voted on previously was the 21 million for construction costs, not FF&E.
Yeah, so I think, Councilman Bonner, I think I'm tracking with what your question is, and to answer it, so $21 million was approved as a debt issuance by council in March of 2023. That was for, as you just said, Chief, construction. That did not include any FF&E at that point, and the decision was made that in order to try to make this work, we'll figure out a way to get FF&E down the road through different financial allocations, through being able to utilize federal grant dollars, by earning interest on the 21 million that's been sitting in a bank account, by also not doing some other projects last year and opening up those funds. That has increased the allowed budget to 24.2, 24.3.
Plus cost savings that the chief and Wally have been able to work with and reduce the amount that they were going to
Yeah, because I think, Chief, you had mentioned to me it was like $600,000, $700,000 or something like that.
We're pushing close. After we received our initial budget information from these vendors, we went out, we reached out to multiple vendors to look at the different projects and the scope of the projects. After we started reviewing everything and bringing the costs down, we were actually, when we got the final numbers back from these vendors after the initial budget numbers, we're close to about $700,000 in savings just on 2 of the vendors.
Yeah, I remember these conversations about the E&E, but I guess my biggest deal is the 21 million for the construction. That's a hard number. They can't increase any of those costs.
Right, that's with Flintco. That's one contract.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's correct.
21 million construction.
Correct.
Not talking about the equipment, but we're not going to have to worry that we're going to go over 21 because that's a hard contract.
Right.
So,
If Flintco were to do a change order, that would come back to you. Yes, sir.
right.
Exactly.
I understand. But we haven't found anything like that so far. Everything seems to be within their budget. They haven't found anything. I guess that's kind of what I was asking.
I can tell you that I make regular site visits. I'm in constant communication with Flintco. I'm out there probably 3 to 4 times a week. I'm at all the construction meetings. Right now, I'm sorry, Robbie, but I have to say it. Right now, we are, the PD project is on schedule, if not ahead of schedule. It's completely dried in. They've already started putting the walls up, sheetrock, drywall. They're, like I said, they're ahead of schedule. We haven't incurred any issues.
Is there,
I probably shouldn't have done that, but I did it because something's probably going to happen now. We haven't run across any major issues that would incur any extra cost.
do they have any incentive built into their contract for early completion?
No.
Okay.
We hadn't talked about it lately, just to give an update. It's projected to have what I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, what they call substantial completion in the third week of May. We'll be doing our walkthroughs at the end of May, looking at possibly starting to move in the middle of June, with final completion at the end of July, where they turn the keys over us and say we're done. So they're looking at those dates pretty serious, bar any unforeseen circumstances. They've been able to work through the weather. The weather's been cooperating with them. The goal was to get it dried in, so now they can work on the inside without any issues with the weather, and they've been moving along very rapidly.
And Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the original estimates just for the construction cost was going to be like 26 million, 27 million. Through partnering with Flint Co., we were able to get the construction cost down to 21 million.
Core Construction, our previous contractor that we brought on board through the CMAR, the construction manager at risk, just a reminder, they backed out of the construction side. They did the CMAR side, they did all the legwork, but they backed out of the construction side. That's the reason why we had to go to Flint Co., which put us about 6 months behind schedule of move-in. But that projected cost was close to 29 million when it was all finally said and done. And now, when we moved to Flint Co., now it's back, we were able to get it to 21 million, which was right at the budgeted cost of the original project.
Great. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Rosie, thank you for answering those questions. Any other questions or comments from council about either this agenda item or any of the agenda items? No? All right. Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion from Councilman Perry. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We have a second from Councilman Oplager. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 6-0. We have no items removed from the consent agenda, so we will go on to the first item in the regular agenda. I'll read this pretty fast. Consideration possible action to approve a subdivision variance request seeking to vary Chapter 62, Section 62111A and C additional street requirements for an approximate 6.910 acre tract of land generally bounded by Old Massey Ranch Road, also known as McKeever Road or County Road 100 to the north, Briscoe Canal to the east, residentially developed properties to the south and west for International Victory Christian Church, PID 171785, and authorize the mayor to execute the development agreement for variance.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor and Council members. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Tonight I'm presenting a subdivision variance request for 6.9 acre tract property associated with the International Victory Christian Church. The property is located on the south side of Old Massey Ranch Road, bordered by Briscoe Canal to the east and residential properties to the south and west. As you may recall, the property specific use permit originally approved in 2020 expired due to inactivity and was reapproved in November 2024. Similarly, the subdivision variance granted in 2020, which provided relief from construction of half of the Old Massey Ranch Road with concrete curb and gutter and required as a screw for road improvement, which expired as well. The applicant is now requesting the same variance as part of platting process. Old Massey Ranch Road is currently an asphalt road with open ditches and no sidewalk. It's located outside city's limit, Manvel city's limit, and falls under Brazoria County's jurisdiction. The provided TIA indicates, by the applicant indicates that traffic generated by the proposed church is well below the city's threshold for major road improvements. Staff reviewed the request and recommends approval based on these. The road is county maintained, and nearby developments did not require similar upgrades. Enforcing the road improvement requirement would impose significant cost on the applicant without meaningful benefit, and the variance would not harm public welfare or property rights. And two conditions that staff recommends are: the variance will expire if there is a change in use from NICS code 813110 religious organizations, or if the property is rezoned. The second condition is the variance will also expire upon the replatting of the property into multiple lots or reserves. I'm happy to answer if you have any questions.
Thank you so much. Any comments or questions from council? Do I have a motion for this agenda item?
Motion to accept.
We have a motion from Councilman Bonner. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
We have a second from Councilman Hudson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 6-0. Agenda item number 3, consideration and possible action to fill the Parks and Recreation Board vacancy. As you guys may know, we hired a groundskeeper, Brian Wilmer, and he previously served on the Parks and Recreation Board. As he's now a city employee, he vacated his position, and I believe, Tammy, what's being proposed is one of the alternates stepping up into filling that position, Mr. Paul Sofka. All right, so I will make a motion to fill the Parks and Recreation Board vacancy with the alternate of Paul Sofka, now taking the permanent position. Councilman Lance, can you give,
Did we skip number 2 for a reason?
Thank you, Councilman Bonner, for calling that out for me. I did. I marked it on my wrong sheet. So we will pause that. We will reverse, as Willy Wonka says, and we will go back to agenda item number 2. I'm getting back into the groove. You know, it's a new year. You gotta find your footing, right? So this is consideration and possible action to approve the first of 2 readings of ordinance 2025-0-3. Dan or Chief, turning this over to you.
Yes, sir. This is a request from TxDOT to adopt the speed limit for the new frontage roads coming in out on State Highway 288. They're requesting to adopt a speed limit of 45 miles an hour, which is your standard speed limit for any frontage roads that they access.
There you go, short and sweet.
Short and
Thank you,
sweet.
Chief. Any comments or questions from council? All right, now we will vote on agenda item number 2, and I will make a motion to approve ordinance 2025-0-3. Do I have a second? We have a second from Councilman Bonner. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 6-0. Now on to the real agenda item number 3, which is the Parks and Recreation Board vacancy. So I will make a motion that we appoint Paul Sofka as an alternate. Councilman Lands, can you give me a second on that one?
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Lands. All those in favor for the appointment? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 6-0. Agenda item number 4. Consideration and possible action to approve a special called city council meeting on February 18th, 2025 at 1 p.m. for a city council planning session. Dan, would you be able to speak to this one?
Absolutely. So last year, our planning session, or planning sessions, the main focus was updating our mission statement and coming up with our core values. So one thought that we had was for the planning session this year, perhaps we really dig in on a specific project, that being the city center. I've talked with Jeff Gerber and asked if that would be something that he could help sort of facilitate the bulk of that meeting. Obviously, we can talk about other projects, but this would be, so it'd still be a city council day, but we pick that Monday and we start, we get together at noon, I guess, and have lunch, and then at 1 o'clock we start and hit the ground running, and really, sort of have an open dialogue about the city center, because there are so many moving parts with that. As you know, we tried to sort of open that door up a little bit at the last meeting, which was good, but there's no way that we're going to, get through that project in an hour. So if it pleases the council, that's what we would like to do, to at least, again, we're not bound by how many planning sessions we can have by any stretch of the imagination, but it seems to be that's the project that has the most unknowns, quite frankly. And, everything from budget to timing to phasing. So the date, I guess question number one, does that sound good to y'all? Question number two, is that a good day, perhaps? And if we can't figure out to get it on the calendar tonight, that's fine, but we don't, we wanted to give y'all plenty of time too. I think we had originally talked about January. January gets a little tricky for a couple of our council members' calendars, so hopefully this is far enough in advance that we can figure it out.
And Dan, I think the 18th is also going to be a council meeting night, so we would just take a little break and then roll from that. Yeah, the 17th is President's Day, so City Hall is closed on the 17th. Would the 18th work for council as it stands? Works for Councilman Hudson? I know Councilman Bonner and Perry and myself, we work, so we would have to confirm that. I'm good for the 18th.
I'll work on it.
Work, okay.
Yeah.
Councilman Bonner? Okay. Councilman Lance? Councilman Opliger?
I'm clear.
All right, so let's go ahead and we'll get that scheduled. Dan, maybe if you can just follow up with the Mayor Pro Tem, just to make sure that she's good with that and we'll be set. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. I guess I have to approve it, correct? Make a motion? Okay. So I'll make a motion that we schedule the special called city council meeting for February 18th, 2025 at 1 p.m. We have a second from Councilman Lands. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 6-0. We now have 2 executive sessions. I'll read both of these out, and then council, we will step into executive session. And Dan, please bring back with us whoever we need. The City Council will deliberate in closed executive session pursuant to Section 551.072 of the Texas Local Government Code regarding the purchase of real property. And the City Council will deliberate in a closed executive session pursuant to Section 551.071 Texas Government Code consultation with attorney regarding a matter that the attorney's duty requires to be discussed in closed session. And we'll head into executive session at 7:14 p.m. Council will reconvene from executive session at 8:08 p.m. Moving on to regular agenda item number 5, consideration and possible action to approve resolution 2025-R-3. The council is going to take no action on that agenda item. We now have mayor and council comments. Any comments from council? Absolutely. Go ahead.
Just to let the council and the staff know, this Saturday at 6 p.m. at the Hilton Garden Inn Hotel on Shadow Creek Parkway, the Pearland MLK Celebration Committee is going to be having its scholarship and awards banquet. And our own Councilman Hudson, he's previously received Community Service Award, but this year he's going to be awarded what we call the Drum Major Award, which is supposed to be the higher award, along with some of our Manvel High School students receiving scholarships on this Saturday. So the public is invited if you want to purchase a ticket for $75 or a table for $7.50.
Awesome. Well, congratulations, Councilman. Can you play the drums?
I've been playing them for a long time.
Okay, he can play them. He can play them. Very nice. Well, thank you, Councilman Perry. Appreciate that. Council, just to let you know, I will be out of the country starting on January 24th until February 2nd. So during that time, I've spoken with Crystal. The Mayor Pro Tem will be in charge, working with staff should anything arise that needs her attention. I will still be accessible if something comes up. But wanted to let you guys know I'll be at the council meeting on the 21st and then heading out of the country for 10 days, going to Tunisia and Morocco. So I'm looking forward to that. But excited to be back here in the new year in 2025, hitting the ground running. I hope everybody had a great holidays. And with that, we will wrap up this meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll second that.
We have a motion from Councilman Bonner, a second from Councilman Hudson. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously 6-2.